Hello, I am Ross here with MDEV Creator Conversations, and I am here with Tim Gerritsen. Tim, for those that are not familiar, can you give us a refresher on your history in the industry up to this point?
Sure. So I've been a developer for 33 years. I started out way back in 1992 at Dynamics out in Eugene, Oregon as a designer. Over the years, I've been a designer, a producer, executive producer, and a studio director. I've worked at American Laser, Her Interactive, Sega of America. I was a co-founder of Human Head Studios here in Madison. I was the studio director of Irrational Games out in Quincy, Massachusetts during BioShock Infinite, and then I came back to Human Head, and then I ran Fantasy Flight Interactive for a few years, and most recently was COO of Lost Boys Interactive. Made games on pretty much every platform you can think of since '92, and made games in every Unreal and version of Unreal since the beginning. Ton of different games, ton of different jobs in the industry, but mainly design and production.
So given that your list of credits is long, let's say, could you give me maybe 3 games that you worked on and some lessons that you learned from those?
Sure. So let's see. Pick 3. Let's see. Rune was the first game we put out as Human Head Studios. Rune was a Viking 3D action game, lots of swords and ripping people's arms off and things like that. That was a fun game because it was our first game as a startup. We cut our teeth on that game, learned a lot of really interesting things about development. Lesson we took away from that was really maximizing the assets we had to make games that felt bigger than the team and budget we really were. So that was something I was able to take into other projects that I worked on. Prey, also at Human Head Studios, is another one. That game was originally started by 3D Realms way back in the day. Didn't go well for them. They brought us on board to help finish it. We were on the last couple of years and shipped the game. We really pushed the Unreal Engine in ways at that time, ways it hadn't been pushed before. We created portals before Portal. It was a lot of fun. We learned a lot of technical lessons, a lot of creative lessons on how to really create interesting and unique environments. Let's see, and then BioShock Infinite. That one was more a journey of management for me. You know, when I first started, Irrational was like 30, 40 people, and we grew it to 200. Growing that environment, working on a AAA game with a massive budget, trying to make sure everybody understood the vision, keeping the team cohesive and sharing that vision and understanding what the priorities were as we were moving forward. So that was probably the biggest takeaway I took from that particular gig.
Awesome. So now I have it on good authority that you are one of the founders of MDEV. Can you help share some memories from the start of the process, the need that you saw, the first steps towards that, and then if you're willing to talk about the changes that you've seen and where MDEV started and how you see MDEV today?
Sure. So actually it goes really far back. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I cut my teeth in the industry elsewhere. So I've worked all around the country. I always wanted to come back to Wisconsin. That's why I came back with Human Head. When we founded Human Head, the reason was I knew Madison and the Midwest were fantastic for game development. You go back even further, Dungeons and Dragons was founded here in Wisconsin.
Lake Geneva, shout out.
Yeah, and it's always been an innovative, creative, interesting place. And I think you need a combination of technical knowledge and creative ability to really make games. You have to have a center that promotes that. Madison has always been a place where creatives and technical people work together side by side, and I always knew Madison would become a gaming hub. And Raven kind of started it all, and we pushed so hard to really build the environment here. And then back in 2016, a group called MadRep, the Madison Regional Economic Partnership, big mouthful, they came to a bunch of game developers like, hey, you guys, you're making games, but you're not really talking about it. Why aren't you promoting games more? And a bunch of us got together and created the Wisconsin Games Alliance, which is an all-volunteer group. And I was like, we need our own GDC. We need our own game development conference. And that was twisting arms, pulling teeth, making people come to the table to make it happen. First couple of years it was rough. We were first year I think we were 300 people, small. We only took up that little area right outside the door here. But it's grown year after year after year, and every year we just kept telling the story of what makes Wisconsin game development unique, what makes it great. We just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, working with local partners, bringing in more people. Respawn came here during that time. Crafton, PUBG came here during that time. Ben Koalo with Midwest Publishing. All of those people we were able to sort of attract and get notice. And then Ben came in, and now this year we're 1,500 people from that original 300. So I am super ecstatic that we were able to build it from those small, humble beginnings and make it into, I think, a growing and going game conference for everybody in the Midwest. We're attracting people. I was just talking to people on the floor from all over the United States. We've always had interest from people outside the United States as well, but I'm seeing more and more people, hey, this is a thing. I need to get to Madison. I need to be a part of this MDEV thing.
So talking about people who are figuring out that Madison is a place to be, you are a person who has a storied career already. For people who are looking to kind of break in, conferences are a place to make connections and a place to make old friends before you need them. If you were here as a newer person or as a person trying to break into the industry, what are bits of advice that you would give them?
Sure. I would say get every LinkedIn connection you can and start just talking to people. Meet talented, interesting people. Bring your skills to the table, find out what their skills are, figure out where your peanut butter meets their chocolate, and make something cool out of that. I think, just putting yourself out there. I'm seeing a lot of kids doing that here at the show. A lot of people like, hey, just walking up to you and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I want to shake your hand and talk to you. I think that's something you got to do. And if I know a lot of people in our industry are socially not as versed, let's say, and I think a lot of people, they're really shy. They really have issues with anxiety. Everyone here, though, makes games. Everyone here is interested in games, and you're going to find if you break that shell, you're going to find like-minded people here. If this is the place to come and look and talk to those people and get to know them.
So I guess we could try to help those people out. Do you have best conversation starter questions that you lean towards, like? Similar to like me finding out about the games that you play, it's like, oh, whoa, those are fundamental games to me growing up and playing games. How do you find out that, like, are you a proponent of LinkedIn stalking to try to figure out people's backstory, or is there something that you do to try to tease out, hey, you made levels for Halo. Hey, you did this. Like, because these titans of industry are in the Midwest, sure. And just uncovering the work that they've already done is amazing. And I didn't know if you had any secrets for trying to get that out.
For that, just because I'm a dinosaur and I knew everybody from way back in the day and got to know them over time. I would say, you can cyber stalk them and figure out what they do, but I'm a fan of just walking up and talk to them. Say, what do you do? What do you worked on? What have you put out? What are you, an artist? Are you a programmer or a designer? Are you a sound person? Like, what do you do? And, have you worked on anything? You put anything out? I like to find that stuff out just directly. Never really been, personally, I don't really cyber stalk people or check them out. I just want to know who they are. I go up and just meet them. But if you want to get a clue, I remember first time I went to GDC and it's like, oh my God, there's Sid Meier, there's, getting to know these titans of the industry who for me were like my idols. When I was doing that, I just went up and talked to them and got to know them because they're all just people. Everyone in this industry, I don't care if you made one game or 100 games, they're just people, and you got into it because you love games.
Yeah, I would say that one really nice thing about MDEV is that it's got a bit of Midwest culture in it, in that when you interacting with someone because of their resume isn't really the reason that you should be here. Yeah. You interact with people, you find the things in common, you respect them, and then if you do discover that they've got a resume a mile long and it's full of fundamental games that you've loved, then you give them the flowers that they deserve, but don't use it as necessarily a method of trying to get forward. It's the connection that's made, not the machinations that of you trying to get ahead, that really matters.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody here, like I said, they're just people, and we all love games. I go home, I play games. You play games. that alone is enough of a starter to talk about. Like, what are you playing right now? What are you into right now?
Let's actually talk about that. What are you playing about right now? What are you into right now?
So what am I playing right now? So Outer Worlds 2. Been ripping through that recently. I am so addicted to Age of Empires 4. They just had a DLC release the other day, so I'm getting to know the new factions. I can't break that addiction. I keep playing the hell out of that. I just picked up weirdly an Atari Game Station Go, which is like this handheld retro unit.
Yeah, so like a mini Atari games in one type thing.
And I remember the Atari games, and they were very limited in the day. But I'm getting back into some of them. I'm like, okay, I want to check this out because there's something pure about those types of games. It's a block, so there's not a lot you can do with it. So suddenly making something creative with just a few blocks is just an interesting way to look at things.
There's something beautiful about the game Dragster you come back to it and you're like, everything is there, and nothing that doesn't need to be there isn't. Like it's just, oh, I want to get from the left side to the right side as fast as possible, and that will keep me playing for hours because I just want to be better than myself.
Exactly. Harkening back to those old days, thinking about what makes it fun, what makes it interesting. What did I get into it for in the first place? And just playing some of those old classics is for me, it's a hoot.
So talking about the backlog in learning the classics, if you want to be more well-versed, it shouldn't be treated like coursework because it is fun. Obviously, sometimes some things show their age more than others, but if you're trying to go through the backlog and you're trying to pick up a Hexen or pick up a Rise of the Triad from 3D Realms from back in the day, what are the types of things that you pick up or the questions that you try to ask yourself to figure out what insights and inspiration you can draw from the games that were made in the past?
Well, to me, one of the things is I think modern designers never played a lot of those old classic games, and so they never learned some of the lessons of what works and what doesn't on a basic level. And going back and playing those, I think, like, okay, how does that apply to a modern game? What worked about this game? What didn't work about this game? What would I change if I had to build this from scratch today? Would I change anything? Is it perfect the way it is, or maybe prettier graphics, but is it perfect the way it is, or are there things I could do to bring it to the table? Like, I'm from the early days of first-person shooters, and you go back and play them in their original state, and oh my God!
Oh, you mean the Doom clones?
Yeah, the Doom clones in those periods, and you're like walk 5 feet, quick save, walk 5 feet, quick save, walk 5 feet. Obviously, that was not an ideal way to play. So, having save points and having those were evolutions in gaming that made gaming more fun. Where it's like it's not just you're just instant death, and I got to play 2 hours of game over. That's not fun. So learning the things that didn't work and learning, okay, how do we improve this over time? What improvements? What did we lose? Like, I remember I was a big simulations game fan. You could record every play, and you could just jump back into the recording and I screwed up here, jump back in, and play the game differently. Some games are starting to feature that with rewind features, but you literally could record your whole session and then watch your session and, okay, what did I do right here? What did I do wrong? We kind of lost some of that stuff. Couch play, I feel like we abandoned couch play in a way that I think we need to get back to, because social interaction, like if you and I are playing physically together, it is so different than if you and I are playing across the country online. There's something we lost with that innocence of all of us get on the couch and turn on the TV and start playing.
I think there's different flavors of couch play that we forget about, because I know that like 4-player couch co-op is something that seems to be a little hotter because I think of Smash. So there's a lot of player versus player, rapid hitting everybody on the couch, but like the couch wasn't just a 4-player like competitive experience. There was like togetherness that would happen. There was conversation that could happen. So do you feel like what part of the couch is missing from the industry that we could potentially learn from and take back?
So I think one of the things that really drives me nuts is we make it hard to couch play now. Like a lot of, you could play split screen, or you could play together, but it's hidden in a menu. Or the game, like there are a lot of great games, like Castle Crashers is one of my favorite of all time couch play games where you just play together. But even that game, like I went back to play it I got it on my Switch. I originally played it on 360, I got it on Switch. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna play it. And everybody had to have their own account. Well, so suddenly we're taking 5 minutes for everybody to either retrieve their account or making a new account. It's like, come on, man, that's 5 minutes of my life I can't get back. Or that jump in and play that used to be just you shove the cartridge in, you flip the power on, and everybody's playing within 30 seconds.
There was certainly here's the controller, this is punch, this is kick, you might want to jump sometimes. Okay, maybe by the end of the first level we'll figure it out together and I'll carry you until then, was certainly a foundational experience for most older games, that we lose the immediacy and the ability to just hand a controller to someone and have it not feel completely foreign if they're not into games.
Yeah, and I feel like some of the tried and true of just like you mentioned, feeling the controller, feeling out the controls, and learning that way instead of just like I have to go through this long tutorial of very complicated games. I love complicated games, but I think a lot of games have gotten so complicated that you're like, okay, I have to go through 15 minutes of tutorial, then 20 minutes of practice before I'm able to just be proficient on a basic level. Learning by doing is something that I go back and I play a lot of the retro games where it's just you just jump in and you die, you fail, whatever, but you learn that way, and it's not a 20-minute cutscene with a 30-minute tutorial. I'm just in it, I'm playing, I'm figuring it out. And I think that's something that I think a lot of players are looking to get back to.
Yeah, I would say invisible layers of proficiency are a part of the retro game experience that I think some game developers are starting to rediscover, where you play and you only touch one button and you can get far enough that the game isn't broken, but then you realize, oh, if I do this or a button combination or this other button does this, and it all combines together to make something that where you were surviving before, but now you're starting to really master. And I think seeing those experiences in games, when as a gamer, when I notice I could pick it up, but now I'm learning additional things and I'm learning along with the game rather than being like spoon-fed via a tutorial. There certainly is an advantage to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another is just UI. I think UI is constantly evolving. There's certain lessons we learned early on that we forget, and then we make complicated UI and goofy UI that isn't helpful. Your UI should be, like you mentioned, Dragster being a perfection. I feel like your UI should be invisible to the player. The best UI is the one you don't even think of, because it's just so well thought out that it just fits when I need it, it's there when I need it.
Yeah. So, are there any other pearls of wisdom that we think we need to put out there, just to for anybody that might be looking for a little bit of additional wisdom from experience?
Perseverance. Don't expect to be successful in every endeavor you do. I mean, over my career, I've had failures. I've had bad failures where I'm like, what am I doing? Don't let that get you down. Be perseverant. Realize that it takes time, and not every endeavor you have is going to be 100% successful. Take away lessons. Take away lessons from what succeeded. Take away lessons from what failed. Get better at what you do through that experience.
All right. Learn, get better, find some lessons. Lessons from MDEV royalty, I would say. Thanks again for your time. We'll talk to you later.